All right, good morning. All this meeting is called to order. Mr. Trollman, has anyone signed up for public comment? Thank you very much. Good morning, Ms. Miller.
Good morning, sir.
How are we today?
Fine, thank you.
Good. On agenda item 3, we have no cases to reconsider.
Correct.
All right. It would appear on agenda item 4, we definitely have something to talk about. It's all yours.
Good morning. For the record, Hugh Daniel, Special Program Appeals. This morning, we have one tax liability case on docket 7. The case number is TD-23-011-0423. Commissioner Esparza.
I agree. Staff recommendations of the MR should be dismissed as late.
Commissioner Trevino,
I agree with staff recommendation.
and Chairman Daniel.
Agree with staff recommendation.
Thank you. That concludes the tax liability cases for docket 7.
All right, thank you. We have nothing on agenda item 5 or 6.
Correct.
On agenda item 7, we have 2 wage claim cases pulled for additional discussion.
Yes, sir. The first case is case number 22-057720-1. Commissioner Esparza.
Thank you. The AT decision is not supportable. In TWC Tax Department records, the employer is listed as a nonprofit children's and youth services organization. The organization offers a wide range of family services focused on children and youth, including adoption, parenting support, and other family services, lactation assistance, counseling, and maternal services. Maternal services are only a part of what the organization is about, and the claimant's services as a doula are in turn only a small portion of the maternal services available. In other words, the employer's primary business was not the provision of doula services or even maternal services in general. And so the claimant's work was not directly integrated into the primary service of the organization. In addition, the claimant determined her own work schedule, was not trained or supervised by the employer, could do the same work for private clients, and had the potential for profit or loss based on how she used her time with the client. Since she was an outside expert brought in to assist with a specialized task that was not an integral part of the employer's business, she acted as an independent contractor. Accordingly, we should reverse the AT decision. The claimant was not in employment, so the wage claim should not, so the wage claim should be dismissed.
The decision should be affirmed. The claimant was in the employment of the business because her work was not free from control or direction. The business gave specific directions and training regarding the performance of her work. Her work was fully integrated into the business, and she required to submit reports to the business. The business admitted to deducting $9,324 from the client's earned wages, and there is no evidence that the business had written authorization for the deduction or that the business was authorized to deduct from her wages by any state or federal law, rule, or regulation. Therefore, the claimant is owed $9,324 in wages. As there is no evidence of bad faith and the employer's last violation was in 2011, the WCAT's decision to rescind the administrative penalty is supportable. Affirm the WCAT. Claimant was in employment. $9,324 in wages owed. Rescind penalty.
The claimant was not in employment. No wage claim should be dismissed.
Short form dissent now.
Yes, sir. The next case is case number 22-061508-1. Commissioner Esparza.
We're asking for another hearing, a rehearing in this case. The employer specifically alleged that the claimant's referrals were going to other companies in competition with the employer. However, there is nothing in the record to indicate whether the claimant was confronted with the employer's evidence or asked to directly address the allegations in question. The employer mentioned having emails showing other companies' names thereon. That evidence does not appear in the available record. Accordingly, we should hold another rehearing at which the employer will submit its email evidence showing that the claimant was sending referrals to its competitors, and the claimant will be asked to view the documentation and confirm or deny with respect to each such document, whether he sent that email to the company indicated thereon.
The AT decision should be modified. The claimant was a salaried employee and performed full-time work for the employer. Though it's discharge date of 11/14 of 22. The claimant provided only firsthand testimony as to the work that he performed in the field. And the documentary evidence submitted by the employer shows that the claimant was submitting referrals to the employer through the date of his discharge. Though the employer believed that the claimant was not performing his work and was instead working for another employer, the employer failed to provide the evidence to support these allegations. As the claimant did not perform work on 11/15 of 22, the last day of the pay period, due to his discharge, it is appropriate to prorate the claimant's salary for his final week of employment. Additionally, the decision to rescind the administrative penalty is supportable. Modify the WCAT $2,115.40 in owed wages or ages owed, rescind penalty.
His wages owed to the claimant $2,115.40 and rescind the penalty.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir. That was the last wage claim case pulled for additional discussion on docket 7. You should have received the wage claim short form dissent list for docket 7.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining wage claim cases on docket 7.
I second the motion except for those cases in which I am dissenting, as reflected on wage claim short form dissent list for docket 7.
I concur with the chairman's motion, except for the cases which I am dissenting is reflected on the wage claim short form dissent list for docket 7.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted.
Thank you.
Let's move to agenda item 8, consideration of employment insurance cases on docket 7.
Case number 3473898, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. I agree that the claimant had good cause for missing AT1. Regarding the job separation, the claimant was employed for almost 7 years, and she had been performing her job adequately until approximately 1 month prior to her discharge. The employer failed to establish that any specific action or inaction by the claimant led to the separation, but merely testified that her call handle time was insufficient. However, the claimant was not provided enough time to improve her job performance, and the employer failed to provide her with any guidance or weekly training to reduce her customer call handle time after she was issued her first warning. Therefore, the employer failed to establish that the claimant's actions constituted misconduct. Modify the AT, claimant had good cause for AT1, no misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response.
We should modify the AT decision. First, I do not contest the good cause issue concerning the job separation. Although the employer offered various coachings and development opportunities for growth, the claimant did not avail herself of the employer's training and directives for handling calls. Since the claimant's unsatisfactory and sporadic work performance arose from her refusal to follow direct orders and to participate in available training, the claimant mismanaged her position of employment. As such, we should modify the AT decision. Claimant established good cause for missing the AT1 hearing, misconduct, no chargeback, sever adequate employer response.
Claimant established good cause for AT1, no misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3480104, Commissioner Trevino.
The claimant's continued claim involved his work for a gig economy employer in self-employment. As such, there is no separation from employment, and the continued claim date dated September 17th of 2022 should be voided. Void the continued claim, set aside the AT decision, and set aside the job separation and overpayment determinations.
We should affirm the AT decision. The claimant quit when he traveled to a foreign country and thereafter refused to accept further job assignments. Since the claimant separation arose from personal reasons unrelated to work, the separation was a voluntary quit without work-connected good cause. As such, we should affirm the AT decision, voluntary leaving, overpayment.
Void the continued claim, void the overpayment.
Short form is 7.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3487878, Commissioner Esparza.
The AT decision should be modified. I don't contest the good cause issue regarding the job separation. Claimant's fact-finding statement taken closer to the time of discharge establishes that she was offered another position with a different employer and put in her 2 weeks notice with the named employer. Moreover, evidence in this case indicates that the claimant's switched PRN status with a named employer was triggered by the claimant seeking another job with another employer that did not materialize. As such, the switch to PRN status should be deemed to have been initiated by the claimant. Correspondingly, the claimant should also be deemed to have initiated the job separation. Because there was no evidence that her working conditions were intolerable, the claimant quit without work-connected good cause. We should therefore modify the AT decision. The claimant had good cause for her non-appearance, voluntary leave.
The decision is not correct. The claimant established good cause for missing AT1 as she was in urgent care for a medical problem at the time of the hearing. As to the work separation, the claimant worked as needed, and evidence showed that she stopped working after 11/3/22 because the employer had no further work available for her. The claimant reached out to the employer to ask for work on numerous occasions after 11/3/22. However, the employer did not have any work available for the claimant and eventually informed her that she had been terminated. Therefore, the claimant was discharged for reasons other than misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT. Claimant had good cause for missing AT1, no misconduct.
Claimant established good cause for AT1 voluntary leaving.
Short form consent now.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3494324, Commissioner Esparza.
We should hold a rehearing in this case. The employer's appeals were timely in the other companion cases on this docket, and in those appeals, the evidence showed that the employer had received misleading information from TWC as to its appeal rights in these chargeback cases. The employer's faxed appeal to the commission was received on the 15th day after the AT decision was mailed. Concerning the ultimate chargeback issue, it is likely that this case involves a temporary pandemic-related work separation, just like the situation in the companion cases. In view of the circumstances, it would be appropriate to hold a rehearing to allow the employer to explain the circumstances behind its late appeal to the commission.
The employer's appeal to the commission should be dismissed as late. The employer provided no reason for their late appeal, and there is no good cause exception to the timeliness rules. The commission does not have jurisdiction due to the employer's late appeal. Dismiss the employer's CA appeal as late and leave the AT decision in full force and effect. The employer had good cause for AT1. Timely employer appeal, late response to notice of maximum potential chargeback, charge the employer's account.
Late commission appeal, the AT decision remains in full force and effect.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3503047, Commissioner Esparza.
The AT decision should be reversed. The employer stated that the claimant quit because she did not return her reasonable assurance paperwork. Clearly, the employer intended the working relationship to continue into the following school year. By failing to return her reasonable assurance paperwork, the claimant clearly notified the employer that she was no longer interested in accepting further work. As a result, the claimant quit without work-connected good cause. We should therefore reverse the AT decision, reimbursing employer not billed.
The decision is correct. The claimant worked as a substitute teacher on an on-call as needed basis. The claimant did not know from one day to the next if or when she would be offered further work. The claimant last worked prior to March of 2022, and there was no evidence presented to indicate that she was offered any assignments after that time. Therefore, the claimant work separation was not for any disqualifying reason, and the employer's account is subject to being billed. Affirm the AT, bill reimbursing employer.
Reimbursing employer, not billed.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3513862, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision should be reversed. The claimant filed his initial claim dated 4/3/22 and received benefits through the benefit week ending 9/3/22. The claimant then returned to work, stopped filing payment requests, and reasonably believed that his dealings with the commission had concluded. It was only after the claimant returned to work that the commission began trying to contact the claimant and later sent determinations to his online inbox. The commission supports claimants' return to the workforce and should not penalize them for not promptly responding to the commission when attempts to reach them do not begin until they stop filing claims. The commission's delay in issuing the determination should be considered commission misinformation, and the claimant's appeal should be deemed timely. Additionally, the claimant should not be held ineligible for failing to report to the commission, since he was not able to take personal calls while at work and could not answer calls from the commission representatives. Reverse the AT, timely claimant appeal, reporting eligible, no overpayment.
We should affirm the AT decision concerning the timeliness of the claimant's appeal. Although the claimant was sent and viewed the determinations on his electronic correspondence inbox, he filed his appeal after the applicable appeal deadline. Since there are no good cause exceptions to the timeliness rules, we should hold the claimant's appeal as late. Concerning the reporting issue, I agree that the commission should not take continuing jurisdiction because the claimant did not timely fulfill his reporting requirements. As such, we should affirm the AT decision. Untimely claimant appeal, reporting not eligible from 07/31/2022 to 10/22/2022. Overpayment.
Timely claimant appeal, reporting not eligible September 18th, 2022 to October 22nd, 2022. Recalculate overpayment.
Short form dissent, ma'am. Or, excuse me, I'll agree with the chair.
Very well. So the majority vote is timely appeal, reporting not eligible from July 18th, 2022 through October 22nd.
September 18th.
Sorry, thank you. September 18th through October 22nd, 2022, recalculate overpayment.
So we're changing the dates, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, short form dissent, hang on one second. I'll stick with the short form dissent, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Case number 3526163, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not fully supportable. I agree that the claimant filed a valid claim regarding the job separation. The claimant requested a transfer from his employer to a larger city in order to seek treatment for his minor son's medical condition, but the employer was not able to approve his transfer request. The area where the claimant resided and worked had only intermediate treatment sessions available and did not have suitable treatment facilities to address his son's needs. The claimant's son's doctor recommended that the claimant move to a larger city where treatment facilities were more readily available. The claimant resigned from his position so that he could relocate to a large city in order to receive proper medical treatment for his minor son. Therefore, the claimant had good cause connected with the work for quitting. Modify the AT, valid claim, no voluntary leaving.
The AT decision should be affirmed. I agree that the claimant filed a valid claim. As to the job separation, the claimant quit due to his son's medical issues. While I empathize with the claimant, this reason for quitting is personal and unrelated to the work. Additionally, the claimant did not provide documentation establishing that a medical professional advised him to quit his job. As such, the claimant quit without work-connected good cause. We should affirm the AT decision. Valid claim, voluntary leaving.
Valid claim, voluntary.
Short form dissent. Ma'am.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Case number 3541448, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant provided credible testimony that her appeal was late because she did not receive the determination in a timely manner. Though the claimant could not remember whether she received the determination late or did not receive them at all, the hearing was not held until almost a year and a half after the claimant's appeal was filed. The claimant's inability to remember the exact details regarding the receipt of the determination after passing so much time was reasonable and does not make her testimony less credible or persuasive. The claimant testified that she has had many issues with receiving her mail, and under the circumstances, her testimony should be considered persuasive enough to rebut the presumption of receipt, and the claimant's appeal should be deemed timely and the case resubmitted for merits testimony. Reverse the AT, timely claimant appeal, resubmit.
We should affirm the AT decision. Because the claimant lacked recollection concerning receipt of the determinations at issue, and several members of her household checked the mail, she failed to credibly and persuasively rebut the presumption of receipt. Accordingly, we should affirm the AT decision. The claimant filed a late appeal, misconduct, overpayment of $2,001, deny the waiver of the overpayment.
Timely claimant appeal, resubmit.
We will resubmit the case.
Case number 3572804, Commissioner Esparza.
We should reverse the AT decision. The claimant's performance declined after her ownership in 2 recently purchased restaurants interfered with her job duty. Claimant further alleged that the claimant was using the employer's resources, including employees and food, for the claimant's business. Despite some denials, the claimant admitted that she was, quote unquote, borrowing food products from work, a practice not approved by the employer. This by itself is mismanagement of her position of employment. Accordingly, we should reverse the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response. In the alternative, we should grant a rehearing in this case. The employer provided text message between the claimant and other management to support its allegations that the claimant was using company time and resources for the benefit of her own business. Because this evidence was provided for the AT hearing but not admitted into the record, we should rehear this case for submission and review of this evidence. We should also instruct and insist the employer to provide legible copies of the text messages.
The AT decision is correct. The claimant was discharged for failing to meet the employer's job performance expectations and for neglecting her job duties. The claimant never received any warnings about her job performance, and she provided credible firsthand testimony denying the employer's allegations that she mismanaged her position of employment. The employer failed to provide firsthand testimony regarding the claimant's conduct. Therefore, the employer has failed to meet its burden of proving that the claimant was discharged for misconduct connected with the work. Affirm the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
Rehear.
We will rehear the case.
Case number 3575379, Commissioner Esparza.
We should reverse the AT decision. The claimant was discharged for not keeping up with and completing her clinical notes as required. In her AT appeal, the claimant stated that during her last month of employment, she was told she would not see clients until she caught up on her notes. Despite the additional time provided from January until her discharge in March, the claimant only completed 6 out of 127 notes. In addition to the employer's instructions, the claimant was aware of the ethical, professional, and licensing requirements of maintaining clinical notes. Because she failed to comply with her documentation requirements, claimant mismanaged her position of employment. You should reverse the AT decision on misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
The AT decision should be affirmed. The claimant was discharged due to her inability to meet the employer's expectations by failing to stay current with her clinical notes. However, the evidence established that the claimant had never stayed current with her clinical notes, but that this was previously an accepted practice. And once the employer changed their standards, the claimant was unable to catch up with her clinical notes prior to termination. Since the employer changed their standards and the claimant was never able to meet the new expectations, the employer has failed to establish that the claimant's actions constituted misconduct connected with the work. Affirm the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
No misconduct, chargeback.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3579181, Commissioner Esparza.
We should modify the AT decision. Under TWC severance pay guidance, it states that pay received based on a standard agreement or company policy is disqualifying. Here, because the claimant separation pay was based on a standard release agreement and not on any of the qualifying exceptions, disqualification is appropriate. As to the length of the disqualification, guidance further dictates that the determination must be made regarding this specific time period the additional payment covers, beginning with the day after the claimant last worked for the employer. Here, the separation pay was meant to cover 32 weeks, measuring the 32-week period from the claimant's date of separation. This disqualification would end on September 23rd, 2023. Accordingly, we should modify the AT decision. Severance disqualification from March 26th, 2023 to September 23rd, 2023.
The decision is not supportable. After being laid off following 25 years of employment, the claimant received a lump sum severance payment from the employer several weeks prior to filing her claim for benefits. Since the severance payment was provided to her in its entirety before she filed her claim for benefits, the payment should not be disqualified from the claimant from receiving benefits. Reverse the AT, no disqualifying severance.
The lump sum payment was not intended to cover a specific period of time, and so it would only be disqualifying during the week of receipt when the claimant was not requesting benefits, so no severance disqualification.
Short form dissent, Pam.
Yes, sir. And that was the last unemployment insurance case pulled for additional discussion on docket 7. You should have received the UI short form dissent list for docket 7.
I'm going to accept staff recommendations on the remaining UI cases on docket 7.
I second the motion except for those cases on which I am dissenting, as reflected on UI short form dissent list for docket 7.
I concur with the chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I'm dissenting, as reflected in the UI short form dissent list for docket 7.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take a short recess.
Normally happen. So what you see, we have such like, we have imposed that. Our guys like Thomas doesn't do small. So Tommy has to go. There's some other. Let me ask one more question. It's just part of this. Oh, did you see it? That's because they take time off from work. That is one thing. Is it, Mr. Grover, is it permissible for staff to, every time they pick up a toddler, to count that towards the gift?
I think so. I think it's,
Every time you lift a toddler, it counts.
That's mom strength, right?
Yeah.
You call it?
very broadly defined.
I think you have to catch a toddler who says they're not putting on their shoes, that's running. You have to pick up a toddler
That's lifting. You have to pick up the toddler who doesn't want to be picked up. That's advanced lifting. That's plyometric.
That's grandpa strength. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's been a long. We could have a law like this.
Old school.
Well, I'm learning something. Why are we not doing the Get Fit challenge thing that I just learned about? Why is I not doing it? We are all doing it except for. That's not like he's doing it. An hour.
Picking up his kid. The baby lift.
I gotta read this whole thing. All right, here we go. This is agenda item 9, fiscal year 24 final contact hour rate for the apprenticeship training program.
Good morning, Chairman Daniel, Commissioner Trevino, Commissioner Esparza, and Mr. Sarna. For the record, Carrie Ballas, Workforce Development Division, and very loyal participant in the Workforce Fitness Challenge.
We'll talk about that after we're through with this piece of business.
Yes.
I have some questions about that, but we'll save that because this is more important.
At the June 30th commission meeting, staff were asked to bring forward options for funding of the final contact hour rate for the Chapter 133 apprenticeship training program. Today, staff present 3 options as laid out in your notebook materials for your consideration. This concludes my remarks. I'm happy to answer any of your questions.
Comments or questions?
I'd like to reiterate my comments from last week to emphasize the importance of apprenticeships and my support for the third option presented by staff in the discussion paper. We can increase our direct investment in the training of Texans by using the state apprenticeship expansion grant funds before the grant closes in June of 2024, in addition to the WIOA state funds or statewide funds. It will reduce the amount of unspent existing funds that would return to DOL and results in the exceeded performance measures attached to this DOL grant.
No questions. I'd also like to thank Carrie, staff for the extended information that we discussed prior to that commission hearing. No questions here.
Could there have been a fourth option? Could the entire $2.2 million have been paid for out of the expansion funds?
Yes, sir.
And how much, there's about $2.5 million in those expansion funds. And
Yes.
those are expiring, is that correct?
Yes, sir. These are part of a grant that ends at the end of June of this year.
Okay. And so we've got GR funds in there, 3.7-ish million dollars. We've got WIOA funds in there, about $1 million of WIOA funds. And then we could take $2.2 million of the expiring expansion funds and get to the $4
We can, yes, sir.
target. Well, gentlemen, that it would be my preference to go with this kind of newly designed fourth decision point where we would just take it out of the expansion money. That way we don't run the risk of lapsing some of that money and we get our goal here, which is I think to get to $4 an hour. That would be my preference to do it that way. Certainly we should have some discussion.
No discussion for me. I agree with that. My goal is to make sure that we get the contact hour up to $4 to help with the contact hour.
I'm supportive as well.
I move we approve $2.2 million of state apprenticeship expansion 2024 grant dollars to fund an increase of the contact hour rate for entities awarded fiscal year apprenticeship training program contracts to $4 an hour.
I second the motion.
Okay.
No objection. Motion passes.
Thank you.
There is one tie on the back row. Could be a legislative report. But he just has a vest on and no jacket.
Yeah, that means there's no report.
That means there's no legislative
Yeah.
report. All right, how about an executive director's report?
No, sir, neither.
All right, I have, well, let's see here. I think we're supposed to have an executive session today.
Yes, sir.
We'll come back after that and talk a little bit. Time is now 10:41. The Texas Workforce Commission is going into executive session in room 242% to Texas Government Code Section 5510711 concerning pending litigation that's titled Jennifer R. Mitchell versus the Texas Workforce Commission and Thrive Academy. The executive session is now concluded and the time is 10:48. Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move we approve the filing of an appeal with the First Court of Appeals, Houston, in the following litigation: Jennifer R. Mitchell versus Texas Workforce Commission and Thrive Academy.
A second.
It's been moved second, vote unanimous. All right, is there any other order of business come before the commission?
None here.
I got one little piece of news. So Ren, stand up, Ren. Ren's upset because I never invite her up to the dais to ask her any questions or anything. But that's not why she's leaving to go to the Texas Real Estate Commission. She's found a good opportunity there. Definitely very it's always bittersweet. The longer I talk, the longer you get to stand there. When I was about 10 years, I'm kidding. We are definitely sad to see her go, but I'm excited for her new opportunity there and love to see people and their career arc, particularly the really talented people that I've gotten to work with here at TWC. And so we're in the best of luck. Come back and see us. Please get your Get Fit Texas up to date before you go. It does not convey, Tommy told me. And best wishes to you on this new adventure. We're looking forward to seeing your successes over there.
Is she still doing job, man?
Commissioner Esparza brings up a good point. Let me tell you how dedicated Ren is. If you ever get a chance to work with her, do it. So her technical last day is tomorrow. And I think because Valentine's Day. And so I said, well, since you're technically working tomorrow and you have to at some point turn in your computer and your keys and your ID, I said, would you shoot one more video for us? Because we do. And she said, yeah. So that'll come out in the 1st of March. So we got some processing time. So yeah, she's shooting one last video. Who wouldn't want that kind of fame on their resume? Right. Any other business come before the commission?
No, good luck, Ren.
Good luck. All right. I recorded 27 steps to the other room and back today. Mr. Trowan, can we see that somehow gets credited toward something that we're doing? And with that, I think we should adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Chairman, I move to adjourn.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn, and we're adjourned.